Hello, everybody, and welcome. I am Bricker Boom, and we're back with another tier list, something that I promised that I would be doing. This time, we're going to be taking a look at bosses, mini bosses, and even a couple enemies here from Zelda Ocarina of Time and Zelda Majora's Mask. Now, I'm not rating these bosses off of difficulty or anything like that. Frankly, I'm just rating them off of how much I enjoyed them, a little bit off design, because in my opinion, if a boss is hard, that doesn't mean that it's bad or that it would rank lower. Just like if a boss was easy, if it's a fun fight, it's a fun fight. So we're gonna go ahead and hop into it with the man himself, Ganondorf. It's a fun fight for the most part. However, the reason that I'm gonna be putting it into the A tier is simply just due to the fact that we fight him in the Forest Temple. We don't really change up the tactics very much. We essentially go from just shooting him on the horse and playing ping pong to playing ping pong and then firing light arrows at him. In a way, it feels kind of cheap and a little bit lazy to be redoing the same fight again, just with slightly different mechanics. I would have enjoyed more had they given us something a little bit different. This man, I believe, is the leader of them. His fight is honestly a lot of fun. I'm still going to replace it as a B because it is one of the situations where if you fought the lackeys, which you probably have because you've worn the mask, you can fight him. He's just a little bit more aggressive, but he's still a fun fight. He blows himself up at the end, kind of a cool exit. So I feel pretty comfortable giving this guy a B tier. The Lizafowls, honestly, they're gonna go into C tier. Mostly all they do is jump and slash. There isn't really anything special about them. They do typically attack in pairs. I like the fact they do a little spin, hold up their dagger, but other than that, nothing really special about these guys. This thing, F tier. I don't like it. I don't like looking at it. I don't like getting grabbed by the hand. It's not a difficult fight by any means. It's just not fun to look at, and I stand by that decision. This guy, I would say probably lower B tier, because it is a situation. Honestly, it's a very frustrating fight, but at the end of the day, it does play out a lot like the flunkies do. That if you destroy the body and then wait for the sunlight, shine the sunlight on the body, it's fun, but we've done it before at that point. I will say that he is a lot stronger than the flunkies with the fact that he can detach his head at will, but we've done it once. Big Ganon. I don't know. Honestly, and I might get a little flack for this, I don't like this fight all that much because honestly, it takes a long time. He knocks the sword out of your hand. You have to figure out a new way to fight him, which is, I guess, interesting, but the thing is, it doesn't really give you an idea of what you should be doing. If you have the Big Goron sword, you're fine. Even if you just have the Megaton hammer, you're fine. But honestly, it's just annoying and it takes a really long time. I do not like this fight. It just, it doesn't spark joy for me. This is Baronade. Honestly, Baronade is one of my favorite boss fights ever. I love the design. I love the pattern that it uses. I love the death animation. Pretty much anything and everything about this, I have nothing but positive things to say about it. It's a very fun fight, and it really starts to amp up the difficulty between that transition of child and adult. A lot of fun. Morpha. F tier, I'm sorry. We're gonna see that a couple more times because I remember some of the bosses, but the thing is, again, this fight just takes forever. It's not bad if you know the trick of being able to hookshot it, get it into a corner, and then just be able to slash away with the big Goron sword. But the thing is, if you get caught by this thing, the animation takes forever for it to finally throw you, and in all honesty, for me, that's a bit of a deal breaker. Batman, because I don't remember his name. I would say C tier. Nothing really to write home about. You have to shoot light arrows at him to clear the bats away, and then slash at him. It's fun. Like the bats make sure that you still have magic arrows, etc., to be able to use. It's an average fight. Nothing special. Nothing horrible about it. This version of Majora is probably the worst thing in the world, but honestly, it's still it's a decent fight. By this point is when he's using the whips, and it's very difficult to do. The thing is, you have to look at the Majora's fights, especially without the Fierce Deity lens, because if you're going through just thinking about how they are when you were Fierce Deity Link, you probably straight up murdered everything, because Fierce Deity Link is very overpowered. If you're fighting him one-on-one as your regular self, it's definitely a hard battle, and it's a lot of fun too, in my opinion. Georg, D tier. Honestly, it's a very long, drawn-out fight. Again, I'm not a big fan of those. The fact that it keeps ramming the middle pillar to knock you into the water, having the little Georgs that'll attack you and everything else, and the fact that you also 99% of the battle have to be in Zora form to be able to do any type of damage whatsoever. I'm not a big fan of this fight, but that's just me. Majora. This fight is fun because it is very original. We haven't done anything like this before. If I remember right, this particular part of the battle is when he's flying around, he's doing his spaghetti monster spin attack at you, he has the other masks attack you. I think it's really cool. As he's shooting beams, you have to be able to deflect that back at the other masks, so they stop attacking you, deflect it back at him. It's very, very fun, and you have to be quick about it. It can definitely draw out, but the only way that it draws out is honestly if you're not the one that's able to knock the blast back. It's not going to be the boss's fault for this being a long fight. Goat. Goat is an immediate S tier. Now, I do want to point out, I'm not rating these like how high on the tiers they are or anything like that, because I feel like that would take forever. Goat is incredible. Getting to roll around as a Goron, smacking into it, causing it to trip, pulling out of that form real quick to slash it a few times. Everything about this battle is fun. I hate Snowhead, mostly because I never seem to be able to do it right the first time. But this boss battle makes up for it because it is just top tier grade A fun. I love everything about it. Iron Knuckles. I'm also going to put into S tier. They're one of those enemies that they hit hard, they speed up a little bit in their second phase, and in my opinion, they're a lot of fun to fight, because it's one of those things with a lot of enemies, we're used to being able to block their attacks, we're used to being able to just keep swinging until we win. With these, you actually have to use a modicum of strategy, and I think that's a lot of fun. And the design is really cool. The Executioner style axe. Here we have the two subordinates of him. I'm also going to go ahead and place him into B tier for the same reason. We know that we just have to beat him up and then use the Mirror Shield to melt them. I don't understand why the light arrows don't work, but that's neither here nor there. Twin Mold. So this is an odd one. If we're going off the arrows, like just fighting them with arrows and nothing else, this battle sucks, simply put. However, the design, the death animation, and if you have the Giant's Mask to basically make this a battle of titans, is really cool. So, because of that, I'm gonna look. You get the Giant's Mask in that temple. It's meant for this particular battle. If I remember right, you can't even use it anywhere else. So because of that, I'm going to look at it through the lens of fighting it with the Giant's Mask, and I'm going to give it a B tier. Bongo Bongo. I enjoy this battle a lot. personally. I'm gonna give it an A tier. I love the fact that you're on this bongo drum, you're getting bounced up and down, and through all of that, you have to shoot both hands, and then the eye starts to come out. You have to shoot it, slash it. I thought that it was a really clever boss design. They've, granted, done it a lot more times since then, but I thought it was a lot of fun. The Big Poe. Now, the reason that I'm putting this into C tier is because it's not really much different than any other Poe. You're essentially just waiting for it to pop up so you can slash it. So I don't really understand why they centered an entire mini-boss battle around it. It's average, there's nothing bad about it, it goes pretty quick overall, so it lands firmly in C tier. Queen Goma. Now, I'm gonna give this an A tier. Again, not due to difficulty, but the main reason is because it honestly sets everything up very well for what type of game this is gonna be. This is your first real battle. This is your first boss. And honestly, a lot of JRPG style games end up using spider designs, especially for a first boss or a mini boss or something like that. So I think it's just very solid choosing. We've already decided Iron Knuckles, even Naboru, I assume that's Naboru's, is, S tier. These fights, honestly, the only reason that I'm gonna put them this low is due to how often they show up. We do have to fight him 4 times in Ocarina of Time, and I want to say that we have to fight him about 4 different times in Majora's Mask, and it's just one of those things, they didn't really change anything between the two, so it's just not something that you know what, I'll put it in the C tier, because it is fun, they are quick moving, it's not like the battle drags or anything like that, so I'm okay with this. Dark Link. A tier. The reason that it's not S tier is simply due to the fact that once you know about the Megaton Hammer, or Din's Fire, or the Big Goron Sword, this battle is an immediate cakewalk. The design, great. The concept, greater. It's just, overall, after the first time, it's not much of a fun fight. But overall, there's still a lot of positives about this, and I think to this day, it's probably one of the most iconic mini-bosses. This battle. Now, this one, Twinrova here, I know pisses off a lot of people. I'm gonna put it into S tier. I love everything about it. I love getting to actually work with the Mirror Shield, because the problem with the Mirror Shield, in my opinion, is the fact that it doesn't really do anything else except reflect light, which is cool. In this, we actually get to withdraw the energy and bounce it back at somebody, and I think that that's really cool. And the fact that they have a second phase, I think that's really cool too. Also, if you can't tell by looking in the background, Majora's Mask is one of my favorite games, so that's why I'm feeling extra critical of these things. Not because I hate them, but because I like it that much. The Dragon, Volvagia, F tier. It takes way too long. It flies around, knocking down rocks and everything else. It's honestly just a very drawn-out slugfest of a fight, and I do not enjoy it in any way, shape, or form. The Giant Octorok. I'll give it a D tier. It's not really special, in all honesty. It's kind of annoying, because I feel like, for the most part, it's very difficult to get it to turn the way that you need to. You can't block it. You can't really do anything with it, aside from just continue to run. This battle can last anywhere from 10 seconds to 5 years, just kind of depending on if you know the trick with it. I don't think it's very enjoyable. The design is okay. Nothing super special. It's honestly just a big octopus. The Dancy Boys, whose names I cannot remember. would say B tier. They're fun to fight. They are a unique enemy that only appear a few times in the Fire Temple, and they don't really take super long, especially once you know what you're doing. So I'm pretty okay with this. Now, I realize I messed up now, because I'm looking at this. This is the Majora that just runs around, making weird noises. This is the one with the whips. But, same thing, I'm gonna end up putting it into C, because the second tiers of them, in all honesty, are just very, very annoying fights, and they take a while to get used to. They're challenging, but I don't feel as if they warrant themselves enough to be into higher than just an average tier. It's not like fighting the OG mask, if that makes sense. But feel free to tell me I'm wrong in the comments. Comments are good for the YouTube algorithm. I hope I'm saying this right. Adwadula? I am gonna give him a B tier. It's a good first boss fight. You should have, probably by the time you fight him, probably 4 hearts if you've done some side quests in the meantime. It's a good first boss. It has a decent second phase when it's beginning to summon moths and everything else. It's a fun first fight. It's very imposing given how big it is, but I like the design. I like the chanting that it's doing during the battle, the fact that it runs around. There's a lot of really positive things about this thing, so I feel pretty confident about it. We've already discussed this. It's one and the same. This is the Skull Captain guy. He's also gonna go ahead and go into B tier. There's nothing super special about him. You hit him once and then he just kind of goes on the attack. The reason that I'm putting him into B tier is because after a while he starts jumping in the air trying to land on you, and I think that's fun. These are probably one of the most annoying enemies to fight, and due to that I'm putting it into D tier. Anytime I get into a fight with these guys, I know that it's going to take 5 minutes of my life, because they just will not lower their shields in any way, shape, or form, and it's an absolute pain. The frog and the turtle. I'll give an A, because it's a very fast-paced fight. It's not overdone to the point where it makes me hate it. It's a very simple formula, not gonna lie. There's nothing wrong with that. But honestly, it's very quick-paced, and that makes it an A tier. It's fun. Dodongo. Now, I know since the original conception, this has kind of been done to death. However, the first time fighting it, I'll give it an S tier, because you're fighting a dragon, or what looks to be a dragon, just without the wings. It breathes fire, it's a lizard. That's as close as you get to fighting a dragon, up until you fight Volvagia, which is a boring dragon. So, I'm more than okay putting this into S tier. You throw bombs in it, you hit it once, and then you have to run out of the way before it rolls you over. A lot of fun with this. This one, I'm gonna put into D tier, once again, because when it comes down and it spreads out, if you do not avoid the bubble, the animation takes forever. He beats you up, then he does one more giant sucker punch to just send you flying into the air, and it's kind of annoying. Wizrobe. I'll say C tier, mostly because he does kind of get done to death. It's not a very difficult fight, but it is something that appears a lot, and that's not really to its strength. It's an okay fight, but eh. The eyeball, honestly, I'm gonna put this in a D tier as well. The reason being is because it takes forever with all the bubbles that are surrounding it, the fact that when its eye is closed, you can't hit it. It's just a very long, drawn-out fight, and that's, I don't like fighting it, in all honesty. It's not even that hard to face, it's just time-consuming. Shadow Ganon is going to go into the same spot as Ganon, because, again, they do copy the design, so that immediately takes some points off from me. But it is a lot of fun trying to figure out which painting he's going to come out of, shooting him, and then the second phase sets up the adulthood very well for you, letting you know what type of bosses you're going to be fighting. But again, I don't like the fact that they copy it later in the game. The Pose Sisters. Now, I'm going to go off of Ocarina of Time rather than Majora's Mask, because in Majora's Mask, you just kind of enter a gauntlet. You fight one, then you fight two, then you fight one more, and it's the exact same from Ocarina of Time for the last one. But honestly, I am going to give them an A tier as well. And the reason being is because you've got one that involves doing a puzzle, two that involve the painting, and then the fourth one meets you in the middle, and you have to figure out the spinning thing, shoot it, and that's how it's done. It's not a difficult fight, it's not time consuming, and it does actually make you use a little bit of extra brain power. So, with that, that is ranking all of the 3D bosses, or not 3D, but Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask bosses, mini-bosses, and some regular enemies as well. If there are any other tier lists that you want to see, let me know in the comments below, because the more ideas that I have, the better chance I have of making content that's tailored towards you. But, as always, if you liked the video, even if you didn't like the video, hit the like and subscribe button, because it really does help me out. And until next time, everybody, peace out.